Hello, my name is Rae Bronenkant. I am the Youth Leadership Coordinator at Audubon, Vermont, and today, on this lovely day, I am at the Green Mountain Audubon Center. And today we are going to be talking about birds and what makes a bird and some bird identification. So today I will be using my Audubon magic and I'm going to actually turn myself into a bird. So as I'm turning myself into a bird, I want you to be thinking about what makes a bird and all the different things that make a bird because birds are pretty weird. Okay, so first thing that makes a bird is their beak, right? So this is going to be the first piece that I'm going to turn myself into a bird. So I'm going to have my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful face feathers. I have my beak and I'm looking good and I'm really starting to feel more like a bird. So bird beaks can tell you a lot about what makes a bird and what they're doing. So depending on the type of beak that they have, you can tell what they're eating and sometimes where they're living. So when you look at this beak, it's nice and long and it's hooked at the end. So what do you think this bird is eating? Because it's hooked, it's probably eating meat. It's nice and sharp and it can peel off pieces of meat. So this bird could be a raptor. And if you think about a duck beak, it's much more flat and they have those grooves on the side and they are eating plants and they are using it to sort of smush around the plants. Whereas if you think about a woodpecker, they have a really sharp and pointed beak because they're getting into the tree bark to grab bugs. So for the next part that makes a bird, this is the most classic bird thing. So I have with me a couple of feathers. So birds are the only creature on planet Earth that have feathers, which is pretty wild to think about because everybody knows what a feather is and you see feathers all over, which just proves that birds are everywhere. So I have a few different kinds of feathers with me today. So these two come from the same bird. Some of you might recognize these feathers. These are both turkey feathers. So this curved one, you can see it's got a nice curve as opposed to this one straight and flat. The curved one is a turkey wing feather, whereas this is a turkey tail feather. And the middle just goes straight up because it's going straight off the back. And feathers are really, really awesome. I'm going to show you nice and close because they can actually zip themselves back together. So birds often you can see them like playing with their feathers and it's because they're trying to get them back together and nice and clean. They have a little bit of it's almost like a zipper on your jacket that zips apart and then they can zip them back together because it would be a big bummer if they couldn't zip them back together because they would just have holes in their wings and they wouldn't be able to fly. The other feather that I have with me, which is really special, is an owl feather, and it's a little bit different. I'm going to let you see it really close. It's got that fuzz on the top, and owl feathers are so soft, and that fluff helps them be more silent when they're flying, because owls are hunting at night, right? So they have to be super sneaky, and so that's a really cool difference. And then with their feathers, their whole bodies are covered with feathers, but the next piece that I'm going to put on myself to become a bird are my wings. So I have a wing here, and you might recognize these feathers because this is an owl wing, and these are owl feathers obviously, but the owl wings have a really cool adaptation. They have these almost like eyelashes in the front of the wing, and those are for when they're flying. Those eyelashes sort of cut the wind to cut down on sound too, to make it more quiet, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna put my wings on and become more like a bird. Now I've got my wings on and they're these beautiful, beautiful dark green feathers. So I sort of camouflage into the forest. So birds have a bunch of different colors, right? So the males are often typically the brighter birds. They are those bright colors to attract a female, and their feathers change throughout the year. So when you think about a goldfinch at your feeder in the wintertime, they're much darker. They almost are like a brown color, whereas in the springtime when they're attracting mates, they turn that awesome, awesome bright golden yellow color. So I'm sort of blending in with the forest. I like to be camouflaged. I can be a sneaky bird with my dark green feathers on my wings. And there are some different parts of the wings too that you can help identify birds. So sometimes they have those stripes across their wings, and that can be a great way to tell birds apart, especially warblers and flycatchers. Speaking of spring, there's something really special that birds do. So it's often the females because they are the ones that are laying on the nest and keeping the eggs warm, but the females lose their feathers right on their belly, and it's called a brood patch. So they have this blank space of just skin on their belly, And skin on skin, like if you were really, really cold and someone grabs your hands to warm you up, it works really well, just like that. So their skin is nice and warm on the eggs to keep the eggs nice and warm. But if we were doing this in the fall, I would say that this is my extra winter weight. But since it's turning into springtime, I have this brood patch here. I have my wings, I have my beak and my face, but I'm missing something pretty important. I'm feeling like I'm missing my tail. So the next thing that I'm going to put on is my tail. But before I put my tail on, I'm going to show you this tail. So this is a ruffed grouse tail. Ruffed grouses are so cool. We have one that lives here at Audubon. Sometimes when you're driving up the road, they run across the road. But this is their tail. It's almost like a turkey tail, the way that they fan out, just like a turkey. But my tail is going to match my wings a little bit, and this is going to be my little tail. So tails can help you identify birds as well. So sometimes they have those, they have different stripes and they're different shapes, and so they can help you identify birds. I'm missing just one more piece. We're almost done with me being a bird, and I'm feeling really bird-like. I am almost ready to take flight, but I still have my sneakers on, and that's not very bird-like. So I am going to put my bird feet on, but before I put my bird feet on, I want to show you this bird foot. So bird feet, I think, are really, really cool. Beaks and feet are my favorite parts of birds because you can tell with their feet and beaks a lot about what they're doing and how they are living their life. So if you check this foot out, it's pretty intimidating. So it's got these huge talons that this creature would use to catch and crush its prey. So this is definitely a predator, which makes sense because I have this sharp beak that is meant for eating meat, and these feet are meant for catching meat. So bird feet can be a little bit different. So this foot has 3 toes in the front and 1 in the back. So that's a perfect foot for grabbing branches. Perching birds, the birds that are often at your feeder and up in the tops of trees, same thing. They have less of a talon, but they are just 3 in the front and 1 in the back. Whereas woodpeckers, they have really cool feet. They have 2 toes up front and 2 toes in the back that grab so they can climb up and down the bark really easily. And then if you think about a duck foot, that is a completely different bird foot. They're webbed. So bird feet are really cool, and you can tell a lot about birds and the feet. So I'm going to grab my feet now. These are my feet. 3 toes in the front and 1 in the back. I got to get them on, which is great because I am a raptor and I need those perching feet. And now I'm ready to take flight. Thank you for joining me today.